On January 22nd, 2013, I departed for New Zealand with 12 other individuals, most of whom I had met for the first time that day. We were to spend 6 weeks on the South Island of New Zealand. Our goal was to backpack from one coast to the other, as well as explore towns, volunteer at farms, and partake in numerous other activities along the way. I brought my video camera and documented the entire trip. This is the result.
Another 13 hours of flying? Awful.
There wasn't a whole lot of hiking for the first few days. My adventure started off with a 13-hour plane ride, followed by a 2-hour plane ride, followed by a bus ride. And then, after sitting around in town for a few days, we boarded this train so that we could get to the start of our trail. After all of that, many of us were really looking forward to some backpacking.
My pack is heavy. I want to drink the water and eat the food right now, so I don't have to deal with that. That would be counterproductive. It's mostly going to be flat. It's a good thing. I'm probably going to be okay with the tent, the sleeping, the food, everything like that. I'm all cool with that. The thing I'm going to miss is maybe bathrooms. The one creature comfort I'm really attached to is bathrooms. Everything else I can sleep on the ground, it's all good. But we'll see.
The train ride itself was beautiful, and by far the best part of it was being able to walk out between the cars and watch New Zealand go by. During the drive, I mentally prepared myself for the start of my backpacking journey, the rail trail. The rail trail was a rather unforgiving stretch of desert that was mainly meant for bikers. Almost our entire schedule was built around the effort to avoid its heat. We woke up early so that we could hike in the cool hours of the morning, took our lunch break at the hottest hours of the day, and resumed hiking in the evening until we reached a campsite. Suddenly, disaster struck. One of the adventurers, Elliot, got some serious blisters all over his feet. Others had them too, but none were as bad as his. He was unfortunately unable to hike for long distances, and as a result led the way on a bike that he rented from one of the towns we encountered along the trail. Despite this setback, though, we carried on, our hiking punctuated by short breaks and hacky sack. Before too long, all of our hard work paid off, and we arrived at the Jefferson Farm, the first of 3 farms that we would stay at with a work-trade arrangement. We worked for 4 hours in the morning at this beautiful establishment, and in return, the owner allowed us to set up camp there and use their facilities.
It's much more relaxing. Not a lot of blisters, which is good. It's nice to be in one place for a while. It feels amazing.
It is amazing.
It's amazing.
Except for the pig and the cat.
The pig just adds to
The pig tried to eat me in my sleep, and the cat rubbed its butt on my face in my sleep. Also, there's a vegan here. So that was a bit disappointing. I like the people here. They're very nice. It's very calm here. It's a farm, but they have a 3D television, which is very cool. Also a dance barn. Yes, very calm. And there are showers, which I like very much.
After a few fun days, we found ourselves packing up once again and moving on, leaving the days of work and nights of dancing behind us.
I really like it here. It's really nice and relaxing, and it's awesome that we only have to work 4 hours and then spend the rest of the day doing whatever we want. And I love the pig. The pig is awesome. And the big trees are really cool. But I'm also happy that we are leaving again because I want to get back on the road and start hiking again. So I'm excited.
2 more days of hiking followed, one of which included a downpour of rain that plagued us the entire 17 kilometers we hiked that day. At the end of that long day, everyone was definitely relieved to be able to unpack their soaking wet backpacks in the hostel that we were staying at, in Alexandra. While in Alexandria, we went on 2 day hikes. The first one was a short walk up a hill to the town's biggest tourist attraction, the clock on the hill. It was a giant clock mounted on a hill that overlooked all of Alexandria, providing us with a breathtaking view, as well as some fun spots to climb. We went back to the clock once more during the early hours of the next day to watch the sunrise. It was cold and not the most spectacular sunrise, but beautiful nonetheless. Later that same day, we went on another day hike to another town. The trail there and back was gorgeous, and we had a lot of fun frolicking in the foliage.
Don't worry, hobbits. I have the ears of a fox.
Your dwarf breathed so loud we could have shot him in the dark.
Before we knew it, we were camping out at another farm. This time, the Northburn Station. Many of our mornings consisted of working for our campground by cleaning out the water race, which was not a particularly clean task.
We were cleaning out the water race, which is kind of like an irrigation ditch of the nice farm people here, and got quite filthy while doing it because it involves hacking large clumps of earth from the ground and then hurling it off the edge of a cliff. And there's water everywhere, and there's mud everywhere, and people look beautiful afterwards.
We had a day off, during which a few of us decided to take what would turn out to be one of the most eventful day hikes of the trip. The Northburn Station is surrounded by mountains, so naturally we decided to climb them. The view was beautiful, and everything was going well for the first part of the trip. Everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves immensely perched atop a mountain.
Day hikes, I think, are defined as hikes where we take a day that we don't necessarily need to go anywhere and just go on a scenic hike. I feel good about them. I like when I carry some stuff. I don't like hikes where we're going somewhere, but I don't get to take my backpack. But day hikes, because we're coming back to the same place, it doesn't really matter. So I enjoy the lightness of that. And I think we do them to challenge ourselves even when we don't necessarily need to, and to see things that are impossible to see from the places that are easy.
Unfortunately, the peace was broken when one hiker decided to hike ahead of the group and inadvertently wandered off.
I think the sunset right
We
in front of
lost
here.
George.
Literally.
We went
Literally,
hiking
but it
for a
looked
day
like
hike,
someone
and
dumped
George went ahead because George is
bucket
like
of
that.
rainbow
We told him to
paint
stop
literally
at the
every color.
intersection. But here we are, and we've been screaming and looking and wandering down both intersections. Where George is. I think he was adopted by the sheep.
Saw
That's
that
my
little
theory.
Luckily, after a few hours and then a brief search by Blake, the trip leader, with a jeep, George was found and safely reunited with the rest of the group. A celebratory sheep shearing was held to honor his return, as that is the traditional New Zealand way. After that, it was time to move on to the next farm. It had kittens and was owned by Carla. At this farm, we held a talent show, which was a lot of fun.
What is it? What was it? They cried in distress.
And I have found that when slickers deal, it's best to have 4 aces.
Is that what it takes? Do you have to stare death in the face to make us stand up and confront resistance? Does resistance have to cripple and disfigure our lives before we wake up to its existence?
Gravity's so good.
We're all good, guys.
Yes.
It's working.
Describe something. Cuddly.
Cuddly. Why do the white gulls call? Does the pain weigh out the pride?
As I walk the streets of Cairo, I empathize as I go, and I feel ashamed of the land from where I came.
Not young.
told me that hippopotamus flows like a phosphorus, popping off the top of this esophagus. I'm not a large water-dwelling mammal. Where did you get that preposterous hypothesis? Did Steve tell you that, perchance? Steve.
All too soon, it was time to leave the fluffy cats and hit the road again. This time, our next stop was Queenstown, adventure capital of the world.
Blake!
Blake! Here we are.
Yay, how do you feel?
Relieved.
We stayed at a very nice hostel for a week there, during which we participated in some pretty hardcore activities.
What are we doing?
Bungee jumping!
We're going bungee jumping, and we are terrified. so excited. So excited. But terrified and so excited.
Ooh, we are at the bungee jump. Ready for some crazy jumping to happen all the way down there. Oh my gosh. Let's check out our rescue crew. Oh, hard life. Hard life. Tan those calves, boys.
Flex them.
We got over here some other non-jumpers. Indeed. Oh, who needs jumping? Not these guys.
No.
We got the best seat in the house.
Best seat in the house.
The best seat would be those guys down there. Oh,
We'll see you soon.
Bungee jumping itself was an absolutely terrifying and awesome experience. We jumped off of Kawaru Bridge, which was actually where this extreme sport originated.
Photo opportunity.
Yep.
Tell me how you feel after your jump.
So happy.
Awesome.
I'm stoked.
How high is your stoke meter?
It's the glass is broken, the needle's in outer space. Yeah. Transcended the universe.
Bungee jumping aside, Queenstown itself was a beautiful place with great food, and we all had a lot of fun there. After spending a week there, we were ready to depart on the trek that we had been preparing for the entire time. The ultimate hike, the one trail to rule them all. The 5-day backpacking trip on the Greenstown and Caples Trail to Milford Sound. We crossed dangerous bridges,
This isn't sketchy at all.
swam in snowmelt rivers, dealt with hordes of the dreaded sandflies, and climbed mountains. But our spirits never wavered, and our faith was never lost.
I haven't showered in 3 days. The camera loves me. The camera loves me.
I'm skipping.
5 days.
Oh, the name will come to me in just a second. And they are
After some grueling days, we arrived at the last hut, the deluxe reward for all of our toil. Needless to say, a feast on all of the remaining food in our backpacks commenced. Finally, we awaited a bus to pick us up and deliver us the rest of the unhikeable way to Milford Sound, since the giant eagles Blake sent for turned out to be a little too small and a little too aggressive. Once at the Sound, games were played, sights were seen, and the trip began to gain a rather bittersweet taste, as we all started to realize that we were nearing the end of our journey.
Let's get an easy one.
Eating ice cream.
This feeling was particularly emphasized during the long bus ride back to Christchurch, one of the very first towns that we stayed at. It also happened to be the one that we ended at. However, excitement can be found even in the strangest of places, and while at Christchurch, we attended a wonderful lantern festival. And completely by chance, we met a professional hypnotist who was staying at the same hostel we were, who kindly agreed to demonstrate his trade on Emma and me. It all really goes to show that adventure can be found anywhere.
Even deeper. Just letting go. Down, down, deeper down.
Besides those occasional surprising bursts of excitement, much of our last few days was spent undoing all of the physical fitness and muscles we had gained backpacking by lounging around and consuming as much of the special New Zealand candy as we could. The most popular candy in the group was something called Hokey Pokey, which is unfortunately unavailable in America.
Hokey has the most refined texture. It's got a malty flavor that it just doesn't quite melt in your mouth, but it melds with your taste buds. And it's a magical sensation. There's just nothing like it. And whoever thought of the name Hokey Pokey was obviously just ingenious. It is what it's all about. Simply the
I'm trying to look at you.
color suggests
Ellie,
what
where
lies
are you?
within. It's beyond words.
That way?
Definitely the bird. Unschoolers are a cool demographic of people to go on trips with, and I would much rather be leaving an international trip in a nice sunny destination than doing pretty much anything else during this time period. I couldn't do it all year round. I would just die from exhaustion and chocolate overdose. But for a little while, it's a great job.
Trip leading is different when it's international because there's a lot of traveling, obviously, and there's a lot of questions that pop up that I need to know right on the spot to be, to give students their answer. And sometimes I wasn't sure of them, so it was that's something I've learned to do. I'll learn to do next time. And it's different. Like a writing retreat is way different than a wilderness international trip because of those reasons. One is domestic, and we just hang out and write, and I teach workshops on writing. Another, this is like keeping people alive in the backcountry, and those are both things I love doing, but they're completely different, and I think I like the writing better.
What do you like? Casey, I think that everyone who comes on these trips benefits greatly because they get to experience the real world. Other people their age, other people older than them, living in a different country, doing similar things, but in a different culture, with a different economy. Therefore, I feel that the majority of kids who come on these trips, once they return home, they have a greater understanding of their place in the world and how their country interacts with other countries, and a greater appreciation for diversity. And we are very diverse everywhere. They can bring this experience home and share it with those at home, therefore opening up people's minds who don't get to come on these trips.
After the plane flight, all that was left to do was say our sad, tear-filled goodbyes. But despite this bittersweet feeling of having to finally return home, I think all of us brought something special with us. The New Zealand adventure was one of the most extraordinary, life-changing events that I've ever had the honor of experiencing, and as a result, none of us left unchanged. We all learned and grew so much, and each of us was able to bring that back with us, and use it to turn our ordinary, day-to-day lives into something more, something better, and something truly extraordinary.
Let me see it! No!
Put it like this. No, what have I done?
Boromir! You!
Boromir! I'm sorry. I tried to take it from
Here's your sword. Hold it.